Welcome to Excuse the Intermission. I'm Max Fosberg.
And I'm Alex McCauley.
Today we're joined by filmmaker Andrew Ducky Dutkiewiczz to talk about his new short film, Call This Land Mother, and the crowdfunding campaign that's bringing it to life. Ducky also brought us one of our favorite things, a list, his top 5 cinematic influences that shaped and inspired this project, giving us a glimpse into the creative DNA behind his latest work. All of that up next after this short break. Hey guys, welcome in. Alex, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm battling through some early alarms. You know, all these professional learning days are starting to pop back up. The days of summer are
gone.
limited. They're fleeting. Yeah. Yeah, we were in a training last week and they were like, now we know summer's not quite over. And I looked around to a couple of people at the table and we were all like, it's over. So yeah, we're squeezing every little bit of summer that we can out of these last few days, going straight to pickleball after this recording, as should be no surprise to anyone who's been listening this summer. So yeah, we're doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I had a little bit. So I got off a project last. Gosh, I guess that was last Sunday. We Petunia, the short film I was second ADing on, or not short film, feature film. I was second ADing on, wrapped, and we had our wrap party on Monday, and then the rest of the week, it's really interesting. I experienced a little bit of like post-mortem, like on-set depression. It's such an intense thing that you do with this group of people for 15, 20 days. And then when it ends, it just like everyone just kind of disappears and
It's
like
gone. You don't like wean
so
off
sudden.
of it.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's so weird. But I also had some time to relax. But yeah, I'm itching to get back on a set. Or some sort of job. But what did I do this weekend? I went and saw Sunset Boulevard for the first time. First time ever. First watch in a really, really old theater downtown here in LA. It was built in like 1918 on 35 millimeter film. Fantastic. Are you kidding me? Hey, guess what? That's one of the best movies of all time. I had no idea. Really
And one way to experience it, I feel like that's how you should be watching it, not on your TV at home.
Yeah, I think I had posted something, and my aunt, who's a big like old movie buff, she like reached out and was like, I can't believe you haven't seen Sunset Boulevard. Like it's like required watching. And I was like, yeah, I guess I've been saving it for this exact moment. Because if I would have watched it at home, I just don't think it has the same gravitas. I don't know.
I mean, we talk about this all the time, and I'm excited we can talk to our guests about this too, maybe later. But I think it's important as a cinephile, a movie buff, whatever you want to self-proclaim yourself, to save movies. Like we've done this for a long time now, right? Like I was always told you have to watch The Shawshank, you have to watch The Shawshank. And so I sat on it for like 10 years because I just wanted to wait until the moment was right. And now, does that maybe potentially affect your viewing in an adverse way? It could, because it builds up a lot of hype. But when something comes to you organically like that, there's no rush. Like you could wait until you're 60 to watch a movie that's been on your watch list for decades, and maybe that's the right time, right? So I think that's a wonderful story. Great answer.
That was a fantastic experience. And speaking of which, we have here in the podcast with us Andrew Ducky Dutkiewiczz. Hi, Ducky. How are you? Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
You. I'm so delighted. I'm so delighted. Very good. I was gonna say on what you guys are saying is like I always feel, just to hop right in. Like I always feel like there's some things that are just classics for a reason, or like there's a reason they're gonna be like they're on your watch list. Like I know I'm gonna like this, or it's that feeling where you don't go through somebody's filmography super fast. 'Cause that's like I want to save this. You know what I mean? It's like it's still new to me. I think the same thing is like when it's in a theater. I remember like I think Heat was a movie that I was like I'm not just like, of course I'm gonna like Heat. Why wouldn't I like that movie? And then it was like waiting for it to be in a theater, or waiting for it to that right time. I think like when I was living in LA, I saw Scenes from a Marriage at Brain Dead, like the entire 6-hour like television version from Bergman, and it's one of those things where it's like if I had just thrown that on over like a weekend and like made my way through it and paused it and whatever, different experience than just waiting for that right moment to go see it. So I mean, it's great. I mean, that's right. Like keeping cinemas alive for new stuff is great, but also like those repertories and those old films are so
It's
special.
so important.
Yeah.
Brain Dead, also sneaky, like really cool theater down here.
Yeah,
a lot of
that's a
people talk
great
about
theater.
the Vista and the Arrow and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
Brain Dead's a great spot.
Yeah, they have some great programming. They have great, and Vidiots, they have great programming.
Yeah.
New Bev, of course, but Vidiots and Brain Dead have just like such sneaky programming that it's just like always. It's like, you're playing what? I remember I would go to Brain Dead and I would see they'd play like the old trailers of the movies that were coming, and I'd be like, "What the hell is this?" And it's like Sorcerer or Welcome to the Dollhouse, and then you stumble on this movie, you're like, I don't know, you just go pick it up, and it's amazing. So it's a great way to like continue that dive into movies that you've never heard of or wouldn't see any other way. Or I think like The Swimmer there or something like that I would have never probably watched regardless. So
right on. Well, Ducky, you are here today because you are in the middle of a campaign for a new short film called Call This Land Mother.
That is it.
Tell us a little bit about the campaign, and then we can kind of dive into the film.
So we're funding right now through Seed&Spark. Pretty cool program. It's been an interesting time. I have like such mixed feelings so far about crowdfunding. It's my first time doing it. It's funny. I have done it for it's about halfway done, and I've had people reach out to me that are doing it or have done it that are like, "Man, this sucks," and it's like it's such like you find like this like camaraderie among people that are like trying so hard to scrape together pennies, for their films. But there's something like beautiful about that, and it's so cool to like hear from people that you haven't heard from in so long that like still support you or reach out to you, or just building your network. So we're just in the middle of that. We're about 2 weeks in. We are going to raise. I sort of budgeted out a low budget, mid budget, high budget. So the mid is sort of like the goal on the site, but there's an 80% goal that you have to hit to get the money, and that's your green light goal. And that was sort of our low budget. So our low is 12,000, our mid is 15, and then our high is about 18. And right now we are about 5,200. So it started really high, and then it sort of plateaued in the middle. But that's supposedly the equation that happens to everybody. So I'm trying to like not let that set in my brain. But it should be a good last couple of weeks. We're talking to some local organizations to sponsor, and then we have a donor that starting Wednesday is going to match every donation up until the green light. Somebody in Seattle that was really kind and really liked the idea is gonna match until green light. So that's really great. So hopefully that'll help us. Yeah, it should. That way it turns the last 6,000 into 3,000, which is makes it a little easier for people to come on in and and help out. So that's where we're at.
You've been releasing like amazing campaign videos.
Thank you.
Which would be like, as a filmmaker myself, I would hate making those. I don't know how you feel about them, but the fact that you're like out in these fields, or you were like in kind of like a smoky bar in one of them, been doing like lens tests and whatnot, which is really, really smart, because it kind of shows the viewer like, hey, this is what the movie's gonna kind of look like. Was that something you kind of planned out?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was one of those when we got to the video part. They say like you want to show them that the why, and if you can't, like, obviously there's always like the why, as in like you can pick a topic that maybe relates to your film. But I kind of was like, I want to show the why, as in like, can we make this movie, and can we prove to somebody that we can make this movie? And then we also need to do lens tests. We're shooting on Atlas scope, which is vertical anamorphic. So you like turn. We're turning an Alexa SXT on its side, and it kind of like hovers over like 4 feet on this bracket, 4 inches on this bracket. There's like 4 inches of space that it's just dangling over. And then you put the lens on, you have to mount a certain way, and it squeezes the image, and then you have to unsqueeze it. And it does like this weird thing. I don't know. It was a whole thing. And my DP and we talked about it for like years. We wanted to do this we had this short idea, this black and white kind of like religious short that we wanted to shoot it on, and then that died out or whatever, happens all the time. But this one, when I sent him the script, he kind of was like, this is the perfect time to do it, but we needed to test it. So it was a way to as well say, can we do this? Is the math going to work? It's been done a few times. I mean, a lot of people shoot vertical, so you get the max resolution for, say, a vertical video, or reel or whatever. But the way that this works is it usually creates a square image, but we wanted a 1:6:6 ratio. So he did the math, and we figured out how to get the 1:6:6 ratio, and it took some time. I mean, it was like a lot of worry, a lot of fear of like if it would work or not. But it was a great way. I will say, I recommend it to anybody that wants to test it out. It's a good thing to do because we learn not just on set stuff, like weight and like handheld is like as of right now is kind of really difficult to do. We have to figure that out. But on top of that, like the color space, how we color it, how we edit it, how it works in Premiere or DaVinci. And then on top of that, it was really cool to do the video similarly to the film because it sort of had me thinking a lot about, we did everything tripod in this video. And I was like, oh, this whole movie's going to be sticks. Like, the whole thing's going to be still. And I did the video and I was like, oh no, it doesn't really work. Like it's too stiff. So like now I'm like, all right, we're gonna do a lot of handheld and like dolly movements. So if I didn't do the video the way that I did it, I probably would have made the film and then I would have said, shit, we should have done more camera movement. And then I would have regretted that. So yeah, it was a good process. It was fun. But yeah, making them is an interesting time for sure. Because right now we're shooting in late September. So it's like crowdfunding alone is a career.
It's a whole nother movie.
Job. Yeah, it's a whole job. It's like it's absolutely insane how much work goes into crowdfunding. I don't envy anybody that does it for a feature that's like looking to raise a ton of money, because it is like it's constant anxiety. You're constantly reaching out to people that you know, that you don't know. You're looking all over. You're making these videos, which like doesn't sound like a lot, but it's like 2-3 hours is you still have to produce a film.
Right.
So that's a lot of time. And then I'm still a director, like after all that, like after crowdfunding guy and producer guy, I still like have to cast people and analyze the script and storyboard and, do my thing that I really want to do. So that falls to the lower bracket, sadly. And then on top of that, it's like, I'm an independent filmmaker, so I have a day job as well that that's eating up time. So when you spend 3 hours making a reel or doing something, it's like, you have to really, it's like be economic with your time and, with the whole thing.
Yeah, you just kind of give up on sleep. You're just constantly working. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's been a month for sure. So it's like the second I don't crowdfund, I am on a producer meeting or I'm emailing. I've got two great producers. Max knows them. Alex, I believe, probably knows them too. Quentin LeBeau and Tommy Mizell are both producing with me, so they're great. But it's still one of those things where it's like, we're it's producing a film. My girlfriend's been helping a ton. She's like doing location scouting and art direction and been great. And she's hopped on and has been super supportive and on board, but it's still like, 1 second from this project, my list is just long, but it's the adventure. It's one of those things. It's like, oh, well, we'll sleep after,
Right. Totally.
So after painting this picture of this gauntlet that you're going through, talk to us about why this story deserves that and kind of what got you up to this point. So it could be inception of the idea for the script, anything really that you would draw on as far as inspiration or I guess just like that catalyst that made you say like, this is the project that I'm going to pour all this blood, sweat, and tears into.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think I thought about it, but I knew it in the sense of like, that doesn't make any sense what I just said. I'll try to make sense of that. I spent like the last like year and a half going through like, I think I've written like 10 shorts in the last 2 years. And I would start production on a short. I would start pre-production. We'd start breaking down the script, whatever it is. And then I'd be like, I don't want to do this one. Like, it's not the right time, or the money isn't there, or it's too like out there, or whatever it was that just didn't feel. Especially like I moved up here to Washington 2.5 years ago, so my resources were all different too. I don't know anybody. I don't know the locations. I don't know. I love Washington, but like I'm from Connecticut. The forests are different. The land is different. I don't know how to like frame the forest here. It's so cluttered to me and dense, and so it was really hard for me to come up with an idea to shoot here. Like everything I was writing was like script for Connecticut, And it was like, that's impossible. Like, I'm going to fly over there. Like, how do you even pre-produce? I did a music video in Austin, Texas, and pre-production was a monster, trying to understand things. And then you get to the location 3 days before and you're like, great, I storyboarded for a different place and like the images were different and the size is different, whatever it is. So I was struggling to find a script that I like really wanted to make. And then I got to a point where I just couldn't like bear. I was like, I don't know, I'm giving up. I was like, I'm just gonna write features and I'm gonna like, if a short comes, a short comes. And that's exactly when a short came. It's like that moment in Kiki's Delivery Service, like lay down in the forest and just like let it all go. And I knew that had to happen, but regardless of knowing it has to happen, you have to just get to that point. And the idea just like started coming, and I met the guy who plays one of the roles. I met is a friend's dad. My last short film, Everything Happens, I casted my mom in it, and my dad's in it, and my sister's in it. And I like working with first-time actors or finding people that I'm like, oh, you just have this thing about you. And he's from Ireland. He's an Irish immigrant, and he had this great accent, which is such a sweet, generous man. And I thought, man, I'd love to cast him one day. And that was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And then this idea came. I saw like these images and this sort of thought and feeling for the area I was living in. And I don't know, it was like these like weird webs all came together, and I wrote the outline, I wrote the script. And I think that's why I feel so at first passionate about making this film, is that it was like, oh, this is the one. It just felt like after Everything Happens, which is very dramatic, it's very realistic. I was like, I want to do more magic, not like Tim Burton magic or like fantasy, but more like I really want to play with reality. I want to play with mystery and the things in the corner of your eye and omens and like these little tiny things in the world. And that's what I really want to do with film, is I want to mix as much grounded reality as I can with magic. And I was trying to find that right script, and this one sort of felt like the next step, like the right step. It's like realistic, and it has these little magical notes, and it works. And I was like, I have this guy that feels perfect for it. And it was the first idea here that I was like, I can shoot this, and this feels accomplishable, and this feels like something that I want to make, like really want to make. And then, this great part about art for other people, for an audience, you make something, and the best art is the art that it's specific, but anybody can understand it or empathize with it. Or like a good song is like, it's very specific lyrically, but you can, find yourself in that. And when I was writing the script, the same thing happens when you're writing something, when you're creating something. You make something because you want to, or you love to, or it just has to come out. Like it has to exist. And then that post moment, you start to analyze it, you start rewriting it, you start finding things, and then you start to find yourself, and you start diving into it. And that's like the beauty of it. And when that happens, and maybe that's like fugazi, and maybe that's just like you have to analyze it, and you have to find something to make it for. And maybe it is just a thing where you find yourself in it, and because you have the power to change it, you get to rewrite and redraft to make it for yourself. But my mom's an immigrant, and I, draft 2, draft 3 made that connection. I started talking to her, and I started just understanding like that sort of feeling. And then of course there's everything going on in the media right now, and politics and the world. But it felt like, oh, well, I'm going to make this movie for my mom, and I'm not Irish myself. It's about an Irish immigrant, but I have this actor who is an Irish immigrant, and my mom is an immigrant, and just trying to understand like what it means to take tradition, to take your old life, to move somewhere and to bring that into a new place was really interesting to me. What it means. I mean, I'm from Connecticut. I've moved there to New York City, to LA, to New Mexico, to Washington State. I've seen a lot of people. I've met a lot of people. And it's like, how do you consistently bring yourself through those lines, through that time? I think that's what I sort of like latched onto once it was settled. And maybe that's like the subconscious of the project coming through. But the initial thing was I was excited to finally make something. And then it sort of turned into this like, oh, this actually could mean something to me past just wanting to. But I feel like it always has to start with the want, like if you sit down and you're like, I want to write, I don't know if you guys ever done this, like if you sit down and you're like, I want to write a film or a story about, I don't know, like grief or horror or like whatever, like a genre thing or whatever it is, I find that, you get into a position of like, I don't know, you get to
it all comes back to you, right? Like it all comes back to your experience and like what, and again, I think it is subconsciously when you're writing, especially that first draft,
Yeah.
you know, things are just coming out of you because you think it's just natural and like you're just going off the cuff, but really, I mean, it's all your experience and your life and or people in your life who have had experiences like it.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting thing how that works, you know. And it's interesting. I always like. I don't know. It's probably like I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but there's just something really cool to me about when you get an idea that gets you really excited, and then you start to see yourself in it. You start to like become it, and you start to change it. I think that's just I think it's just so cool. It's so much fun, and it like you get to make it personally about you, and I think that that's just that's what makes it what it is. So I don't know. It's whatever. It's BS, but it's also great.
Well, no, I mean, there's part of it too where it's like how you mentioned earlier, listening to a song where you're like, I don't know why this resonates with me, but I think it does. And then you have to get to that place where even if maybe the lyrics or the thematic messaging of it at first didn't really hit you, it can grow on you and you can take that and turn it into something that has meaning for yourself. And so it's almost like the reverse of imposter syndrome or something like that, where all of a sudden this idea that I had that I knew was, in me somewhere has now taken life once I've putting it to the page or once I've started to go out and storyboard and see locations or whatever it may be. So that's really cool that it's come together that way for you.
Yeah, it's really. I think it's one of those things where it's like, and it sucks. It's like it sounds like it's. I don't want to say like it's BS to like reduce it, but it sounds like it when it comes out of my mouth. But I feel like you need like that project that gets you there. Like gets you excited. Because if it's not, then it's like, how do you get people behind? Like, how do I like this crew is incredible. Like Tommy and Quentin and my DP Devlin. Like, but it's like all these guys are people that are like donating their time to this film. You know what I mean? Like these aren't like guys that are like I'm like giving them like day rates and like all this stuff. Like they're like you have to care for it. You have to believe in it. You have to like be very passionate about it. And I think that like how dare you like ask somebody to like join your coalition if you're just like, oh well, it's a little horror flick and I'm just gonna throw it together and it's like this 4 minute thing. And like how dare you like ask somebody to like go out of their way to like give you their time and their energy and their money and whatever that is that like that does that for them. So it's and then also yourself. It's like this thing, right? It's like I'm like waking up crowdfunding and producing and directing and all this stuff. It's like I don't even know how I could do it if I didn't have that connection. So yeah.
No, that's so true, and that feeling never really goes away, even through like production, right? Like the films I've made, like especially if it's like the last day, and if it's something I've written, I've produced, and I am now directing, and like I have all this crew around me, and all these people have come together to make this thing that came out of my head. It's very just like you have to love it, and it has to come from a true place. Otherwise, because you're always asking like, why are these people? Why are they here?
Well, yeah, this is the imposter syndrome again, right? You like look around and you're like, man, this is it's crazy, but yeah,
how long is your writing process? How long did it take to get from the first maybe like outline or the initial idea written down to the shooting script?
They're all different, I mean, sometimes you get like, I don't know if you've ever had this, but you get a script that you like, an idea that you love, and you just like fly through it, and that's awesome. And then sometimes it takes some more time, and usually if it takes more time, it's usually the idea that you don't want to, and like you'll come to the conclusion, I don't want to make this. But usually it's a few months. I would say like maybe the first week is like the first draft, or the first couple days, especially a short, if it's 10 to 20 pages. But I'm also an overwriter. Like I definitely overwrite. So
that's always good, especially on the first draft. It's so smart.
Yeah. I mean, it's good, but sometimes it feels, especially like I'm writing my first feature right now, and not my first feature. I've wrote 2 in high school, but like I'm really starting to write features. And this one, it's like I'm overrating like crazy. It's like it takes it's like I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's act 1 on like page 90. I'm like, how like what is this? Like
just introduce the main character.
Yeah, it's so scary. Yeah, I don't know what it is about it, but I love overwriting. But so the first draft can take a week or 2. If it takes any longer, then I probably start to peter out on it, and then I redraft a lot. I rewrite like crazy. I really do, and I'm hypercritical, but maybe too sometimes. Like I think I just rewrote a draft of this film. Like we're shooting in a month, and I rewrote like last week. I was like, I'm changing some stuff, and I'm, trying to always think of I don't know, a better thing or a better scene, or there's always like that one scene that doesn't really work for you, or something's thin. Like the first act was a little thin, and I was like last week I was like, we need to fix this, or figure out something else to like build it up. But I don't know. It's a process because it's like shorts at this point. I don't even have an outline anymore. It's more of like a paragraph, and then I just sort of go for it, and then rewrite, do it over and over and over again until it's done. But features at this point have been like, it's like an outline for act one, and then I write act one, and then like I rewrite act one, and then I go back to the outline, and then there's a bunch of notes, and I sort of like try to coagulate those notes into meaning, and then it's like a ping pong match. But I feel like I used to have a better answer for this, but I don't. Right now, I'm like I feel like I used to have like, oh, like, this is how I do it. And now I'm like, it's been so long since I think I've actually written, just because I've been working on the film, that it's like hard to think about how it comes, other than just like a blur of time where you don't have a script and then you have a script.
Right.
I don't know.
You're so lost in the flow state. You just find it and you black out, and then boom, there it is.
Yeah, you have to. Or I mean, I will say I do try to write when I'm not like busy. I try to write like 3 to 5 pages a day. I try like every day. I mean, like which is hard. Like that's like I always like feel like there's such like a mystique behind, like you'll hear like a director be like, oh, I watch a movie every morning at 6 a.m. and then I write 10 pages, and then I like and then it's noon, and then I pick up my. It's like ridiculous. Like maybe for like 2 weeks you do that, and then like like you have a life, obviously, and it's important. I think it's important too to like you don't like finding that balance of living and then also writing and working, or you burn out. But I try to do like 3 to 5 pages a day, especially like having some features written and ready. It's like I've been really trying to like, when I have those days off, or like whatever, like 3 to 5 pages, just because it's like the littlest increment. Because I've written shorts for so long that it's like, oh well, I take 3 days and I write a short and it's done. And then a feature, right. It's like, fuck, man, it's like 3 days and you have half a scene, and you're like, awesome, fantastic, and you have all these things in your head floating around and jumbled. And I have FOMO. It's like I don't want to miss a scene. I don't want to miss a character. I don't want to miss a moment. So I'm bouncing around. But if I can do the 3 to 5 pages a day in my head, that's like 25 pages a week, 5 days a week, 100 pages a month, 200 pages in 2 months. It's a feature film. But I want to say it's that easy, but it's it's not. But that's the idea. That's the goal.
Yeah. No, features are really hard. I'm working on writing a feature right now, but like I'm a streaky writer. Like I will write, maybe 2 days. In 2 days, I'll write maybe like 10 to 15 pages. Mm-hmm. Then I won't look at it again for like 2 weeks. Yeah. So I am so slow. I've been working.
Have you tried routines? Have you like tried it? Have you tried like routine?
I haven't, no. And part of that is because, if I'm going to set to work on someone else's film, or trying to find a job, or like, I'm constantly doing way too many things at once. But yeah, no, I would love to get to a point where like, okay, from this time to that time every morning, I'm going to sit down and try and write. But really,
you cover all the furniture in your room with white sheets and pour yourself a highball whiskey glass and then just
Paul Schrader it out.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. It's so difficult, and then it's like, things change, you like have friends in life, and like the work thing too. When I was in LA, that was one reason why I left LA, because I was like, I was on set so much. I was like, I'm not writing, which is great. I loved being on set, but it was like, but it's hard. Even now, I just moved a month and a half ago, job and all this stuff. And, trying to find that time can be really difficult. And again, like, I think it's like, it's so easy when like a professional filmmaker, somebody's making features for a living, sits there and is like, oh, like they like build this mystique around, how simple it is. Like, no offense, I love Stephen King's great, but Stephen King will be like, oh, every day write 5 pages. And it's like, cool, man.
Well, awesome. Yeah, you're Stephen King.
Exactly.
That's all you do.
Like, it's like I'm in my mid-20s. I work at a restaurant, and I'm trying to make a short film. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's so interesting always to talk about people, how they write and like how they do it. It's always fun to try new things, but
Mm.
I think it's also important to remember that it's like, you know, it's hard for everybody. You know, it's a difficult thing that I find. Like everybody I talk to is like, yeah, it's hard to find the time, hard to find the pace, or or the idea that gets you back to the table to like, I'm
Right.
gonna.
Yeah. The
Sometimes it is
inspiration.
like,
Right.
yeah. Sometimes it's like, and the thing with a feature, right, is like you might have like 4 scenes that you're like, I fucking love these scenes, and you get to those scenes and you write them, and you love like the certain character. Usually, it's always your secondary characters who you love, and your first character
Yeah.
is like whatever, and then you write those 4 scenes, and then in between you're like struggling to like get there. You're like, oh my
Do you
god,
bebop around the script like that?
I don't know. Sometimes it's
Sometimes.
sometimes I do because it's like, or sometimes what I'll do if I'm really struggling is I just write like in brackets on the screenplay. I'll write like
Mm.
something happens here, or like something needs to happen here. That's like, I'm like, come back to this, like because it's like, especially a first draft, is it's like, I heard this thing recently from Dan Harmon. It's like, prove to yourself that you're a bad writer if you're struggling to
Mm.
write.
Yeah.
I think that's so helpful because it really taught me to like, all right, like if you're struggling to write, like it's okay that you suck. Like a little progress better than no progress. And it's okay if you're bad. It's okay if a scene's not working. It's okay if a character doesn't work right now. Especially that first draft when really what you're doing is just like building a block of marble to then carve away later, Like that's all you're doing. You're just gathering the resources anyways. Um so for a while I was writing novels first for that reason. I would write in a novel format because it was like I
Mm.
can be as omnipresent as I want. I can go into the characters' minds. The issue with that is it takes so long. Even a short film becomes like a 20-page short story when you have the time and you have like the space and the budget to like go
Right.
into people's heads and go here and do that. And then you have to adapt that, which is cool. It's explorative, but it's not a bad way to do it either. You know, always
Mm.
things. Yeah.
Well, okay, let's shift from writing. So you're doing that in the pre-production. You've got the script. Uh, Now you're storyboarding. So do you always storyboard all of your films?
Yeah, I did one short where I didn't storyboard, and day 2 we can't. Day 1 I canceled the shoot. It was for other reasons too, but I was doing this film. I was like 19, super zealous, super egotistical. I was shooting this short in New York, and it was like I poured all my money into this. I was like sick. I like lost like 30 pounds. It was ridiculous. And day 1 we were on set. I didn't storyboard for some reason. I was like, oh, we're gonna try. I think I heard Barry Jenkins in a storyboard, and I was like, oh, cool. I won't storyboard. And then I showed up to like set, and we're like, in my apartment. Not showed up. I woke up and I walked in the other room, and and I don't know what it was. At day 1 finished, and I was like, we were like 4 scenes behind or some shit. Like it was bad. It was really rough.
Did you
And
at
I
least
was
have a
like,
shot list?
yeah, we had a shot list, but like, things are falling apart. We lost power at one point because like New York had a power outage. I'm not joking. Like Brooklyn had a power outage for like a night. And it was just one of those things where I was like, the set design was bad, makeup wasn't all there. And I was just like, this sucks. I looked around and I was like, this isn't it, man. Like this isn't why we're here,
Right.
There was something about it. I was like, I don't know. It was just too much. So I canceled the whole film. But I remember one of the reasons why is I learned that shoot, I need a storyboard, because it was like, to me, storyboarding is like, man, it's like everything. Because like it's not just getting the shot, but like if you can storyboard and you can understand like what you need for art design, what you need for wardrobe, like all these things that are gonna make the image of your film location.
Mhm.
And then like there's been times like this music video I just did where it's like, we did like 35 shots a day. It was 2 days. Like we're cruising. But if it wasn't for like that pre-production and being that prepared, being able to like to turn my binder and show somebody an image and be like, this is what it is. We talked about this 2 weeks ago on Discord. Then they just go and do, you know what I mean? It's like, we know we need this here and this here and this here. This is what it looks like. And it saves so much time. And then it also just gets me thinking about the production design. Nothing's worse than when you're on set and you're like, oh, I wish something was filling the frame. I wish there was something in the bottom right corner. I wish this was different. So it's just another way to draft your story, which is like the best thing that you can do as a director, right? Is that it's like redraft every way possible. Like if I can look at that film from every fucking angle up until editing it, it's like, that's the best thing for you. It's like every single angle needs to be perceived. And if I don't do that, then it's like it's anxiety, and then it's also like there's the tales all the time. Once you do that, you have those things. Then if something goes wrong or you don't have something, then you can figure it out, because the other 8 dominoes aren't going to fall down because you already, plastered them up. So,
Ducky, the 2 features I've worked on here, again, very indie, very small, no shot list, no storyboard, like just raw dogging the production. It is. I don't know how. I can't work that way. I have to have some sort of map, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a shot list or a storyboard, which I've done both on a lot of my films. But like, yeah, I just can't even imagine trying to make a film without those tools. That's so crazy. I'm so happy to hear that you do that.
It's crazy too, because to me, because it goes back to like that, and no offense to like that production or any people that don't do that, but it's one I think, and I like the 48-hour film festivals. I think this also is nurtured in that, where it's like it's okay. And I know a lot of filmmakers that don't storyboard or don't shot list, and they say like, oh well, like I like doing like the run and gun thing, and I'm like, I get that works in like these other scenarios, but it's like going back to the idea of like you're asking people to like come out of their way to help you and make this thing, and it's like the best thing that I can do is make sure that like any incident can be prohibited. That's my job as a director. It's not just like, yes, working with the actors, yes, like giving it tone, whatever, but it's like my job is also as a director / producer is to like make sure that any obstacle or any speed bump can be avoided. And for myself as well, like I want to make a good fucking movie, like this fucking, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't care, so it's like, if I can plan out every little thing so that when we get to set, it's not like we're following everybody's excuse. It's like, well, I don't want to follow a book. I don't want to be on this rigid schedule. And it's like, no, this is to make sure you can get off the rigid schedule. Like this is to make sure that okay, like things aren't going well, at least we have this backup plan. At least we have this, this schedule. I mean, after I storyboard and shot list, I do this thing where on the side of the script, I have a whole other draft of the script where I just etch out how long I think a shot is going to go and where I'm going to cut. And it's just like trying to map it out as much as possible, even to like when you're on set, it also helps. That helps me alone when it's like, we're losing time. Okay. Well, I believe strongly that this shot is going to end on this line. Right. And we don't have to shoot. We don't have to run the whole fucking scene 18 times because just in case we need, I also hate coverage, but it's like, but this helps me not have to do coverage, like it's not like, oh, well, we'll get the wide and the 2 overs. It's like, it's like I can think harder than that. I can, plan better.
Right. Yeah. You're planning for the edit already, which is, well, it's really smart.
And things always change, but it's one of those things where, it's like, it's being smart, economical, or like, you want to.
I'm sure your editor loves that too, right?
Yeah.
Whoever you hand it off.
Because you show that, and then, you get your like frame done, and then you can start to play. And things always change. A shot gets cut, or a scene gets cut, or something like that happens, or a whole thing gets replaced. But yeah, I think it's it's being open to all of it, but having that structure is just like, I can't imagine. I would never do it again without it, ever. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Let's dive in to your list. You brought us a list.
Let's do it.
And this list is, I guess, the top 5 inspirations or influences that you've realized or are trying to capture within Call This Land Mother. What is number 5?
Number 5 is I have it open next to me, so I'm gonna read off of this. My number 5 is it's gonna be like a little bucket, and we can go over this one briefly. But I just watched Your Name recently, which I thought was immaculate. That was such a good film. But up until then, there was also some like Miyazaki films on my list, which was like Totoro and Kiki's and Boy and the Heron. And I think he's like one of the best. I think Miyazaki is just absolutely. Like one of the last of his time. Like him and Scorsese are like the last of like this philosophical filmmaker. I think we still have some, but it's like these people that are making films or were making films with such a different love for it. Like it was a different time, right? It's like they're sort of wrapping out as the digital age comes in and the social media age comes in. But the way that Miyazaki approaches a film, how he cares for his characters and his world, and how he balances the reality with the magic, I think is just out of this world. So I was looking at those films a lot, and then I saw Your Name, which is also an animated Japanese film, which is also incredible. And those all do such a good job at balancing the reality with the magic, as well as capturing the world. So Call Sign Mother, just briefly, if everybody knows, it's a film about an Irish immigrant recalling his first summer in America, and the girl he could speak to his dead mother. That's the rehearsed log line I've learned over and over again. So it's about a guy recalling his childhood, recalling this first year that he moved to the Pacific Northwest, becoming one with the land, becoming one with the people there, as well as the person that helped him do that, which is this person who could speak to his mother who passed away before he moved to America. So it's very realistic, but it has this sort of unreliable narrator / like magic element. And the way that Miyazaki in the film Your Name like capture a town and capture people is so gorgeous to me. And the land is really important here. There's a portion of the film where the film goes a little documentarian for like 3 minutes. We're going to break away, and 2 days after production, we're going to go around like different towns for 3 days and just shoot documentarian, get a bunch of, what's it called, releases from a bunch of random people, and just try to like capture the life of these towns as much as timeless capturing that we can. And I just love the way that like there's a portion of Your Name that like they're talking about the town that they're in, and it breaks away, and you have like a minute where you're just in the land and in the people and in the city. And I think that these movies do such a good do such a good job, that's what I was going to say, at capturing those moments. So it was really inspiring for me at capturing all of that. And then of course like Totoro and Boy and the Heron, they have such a great job of the magic elements as well.
I'm really happy that you put Your Name on your inspirations list, because to circle back to something we talked about at the beginning, that had been on my watch list forever, that and Suzume, because I'm trying to, and so again, also to speak to what you said earlier, like not go through a director's filmography too fast, but Makoto Shinkai is someone who I am, maybe, I think a lot of people are sort of like buying season tickets for, as far as maybe someone who can come along and sort of fill the Miyazaki gap that is unfortunately going to be left in a lot of our hearts now. And you're absolutely right. Like the magical component of it, and kind of bending it within still our own reality, but also adding this like sort of like celestial, cosmic element to it is something that we've seen Miyazaki do a little bit, but it seems like more of maybe like is something that's sort of Shinkai's calling card, is to do that. And it honestly, so I just have to say thank you, because I checked it off my watch list in preparation for this episode to chat with you. Cool. Your Name. Just watched Your Name for the first time last night. And it's honestly one of the most, it's one of the most beautiful movies I've ever watched. I've never seen light captured this way in an animated film before. Like
there's that shot where it's like the very extreme close up of like the yarn that like it's like pushes over the yarn. It's like insane. Like the cinema. I think I said when I watched it, I was like, I think this is the prettiest movie I think I've ever seen, which is so hard to say because it's like I just saw it, but I was like, this is gorgeous, like absolutely miraculous. Yeah,
it really is. It's quite the accomplishment. And so that was great. I can, one of those movies that definitely lived up to, I don't want to say the hype or my expectation, but just like the setting in which I watched it. I also have to give a shout out to Crunchyroll. If people aren't familiar with Crunchyroll, this is one of my new favorite streaming services. It's all anime, and they just like their catalog is so deep with stuff. So definitely give yourself a 7-day free trial of that. We're not partnered with Crunchyroll but would love to be. So yeah, definitely one that people should check out, and Suzume's next on my list as well. After this.
I haven't seen Suzume, but Your Name was on when I was in college. I did a year of school, and I had these friends that were like crying after watching it. So it was on my watch list for like 5 years, and then I finally was like, my girlfriend brought it up, and I was like, all right, we'll put it on. And and the score is also, I'll say that movies, I've been jamming that film Brad Wimp's score like crazy. It is insane. It is such really a good score.
It is.
Real quickly, if you had to choose one Miyazaki movie that is like your all-time favorite.
Totoro is like top 3
I think Alex, do you remember on our Miyazaki episode, was Totoro the number 1, or was
we zagged just a little bit and put Mononoke number 1.
I used to say Mononoke, to be honest, so I get it.
But I do almost want to say that we continued to zag and put Totoro 2 and Spirited Away 3, whereas I think a lot of people might have those backwards.
Yeah.
I think Totoro is just like, the runtime is I love a good under 90 minutes.
Oh yeah,
always amazing. But that movie is just so special. It's just
it's one of the best movies about childhood. It's so whimsical. It checks almost every box that you want from a Miyazaki film, I think.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I think it is top 3 for me. Like ever. Like I would, I'd die for that movie. I'd die for that man, to be honest. If I could give that man the rest of my time here, take it.
Okay, number 4 for you.
Submarine.
Submarine. So this is one that I fired up last night for the first time.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Man, it is it's an extremely touching, like but subdued film about teenage anxiety. I thought it was great. I was kind of wondering if you were gonna do some of the things it does structurally, as far as like, it's told in 3 parts. The music is amazing, and like the score is fantastic, but also like the needle drops are so incredibly important in the film. But yeah, I thought it was a beautiful film.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's so kinetic, is what I love about that movie, is that it's just like, it takes you on such a trip. And it's so clever with how it displays its ideas, and I think that's also great. Yeah, I don't know, something so special about that movie to me. I think it's just, the characters are fantastic, and I love how, like,
They're so
righteous.
living.
Yeah, and they're just like so righteously terrible. I love it. I just love it. They're just such hilarious little people, and I think it's great. And the cast is great, and there's some parts of it that I feel like I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of, but I think that it's like, it's such a special movie that I'm okay with them, but I really like that movie a ton. And I just felt like, when I look at Call the Same Mother, and especially a lot of the narration stuff, right? Like, I mean, narrated films are all through time, but especially something that is, this one's so much more fast paced than Call the Same Mother, but I just love how he approaches that film and how he approaches those characters. And watching that film or rewatching it in preparation to make this movie was like, oh, I think I need to give my characters a little more, not like, I guess, life, and more breath, and just give them more of a trip. So I think that was a huge reason why I put it on this list, because it was just like, to me, it's like one of the most perfect, like, coming of age voiceover movies that you could do, and it's so good at just flying through, and I think it's great.
Is there going to be voiceover in your film?
Yeah, it's a ton. It is a ton of voiceover. It's like, because it's all being told from this old man's perspective, this older guy's perspective. So it's I don't say he's old. He's maybe like 50 or 60, but it's all his perspective. So it's one of those things that to me is very tons of voiceover for us. It's from the beginning to the end. So there's even like a little, we have a song actually in the film. We at the end, the main character sings a song.
Is this an original piece, or is this
no, it's Caledonia. It's by I'm trying to think of who. I know who it's by. I can see his name in my head, but I'm like almost thinking of all the other movies, so I'm like shuffling through like all this like information in my head. But it's the song is mentioned at one point in the film, and then at the end of the film, the lead actor voiceover sings the song in like the last moment. So we have like kind of a needle drop ourselves, but not as like, again, not as kinetic as Submarine. The film is nowhere near as kinetic as Submarine, but it was really inspiring to me of how you can tell a story, how you can use visuals. That was a big thing too. It's like how you can use visuals to like get a point across, or sound to get a point across, was also cool. So yeah.
Cool. What's your number 3?
After Sun, Charlotte Wells. Yeah, I love After Sun. I think After Sun is just great. Again, it's such a great film about memory. Like that whole movie is about memory. It's a whole film about nostalgia and thinking, and I just think that it's so well captured. She does such a good job at capturing those moments. Again, with like the handheld thing, but it's not like too crazy. It's just very like lived in and set in, and Call Same Mother is about, this sort of perspective of coming to a new place, being somewhere you're not from, but also it has a lot to do with parents, the relationship between oneself when they get older, when they're younger, but also like your dad and your mom, and those are sort of large themes of the film. Obviously, mother's in the title. So After Sun just does such a great job at recognizing an adult and recognizing somebody, for who they are, or recognizing a past differently once you have some perspective. So I think that our film does that a lot, where it's, the whole film is this guy sort of recalling this person or who this person was to him and looking at it differently down the line. And in turn, there's some unreliable narration. I think that movie does a good job at it as well, where it's this person she's much more sly about it. Charlotte Wells in that film, she's very sly. It's like one of the greatest parts of the movie. But how that character is recalling this childhood and this memory. So
yeah, that's a great pick. I love that movie. We were just talking about that movie. It was on
it's on the top 100 New York Times list.
Yeah, top 100
21st century.
Yeah, I love that movie. I know it's not contended. I think there's a lot of people that are kind of like meh about it, but it was one that, I don't know, when I first saw it, I walked out and I was like just shaking. I was like, wow. Like those last few moments, she's so sly in those moments, but and so reserved, but like the under pressure scene into that final shot is just like so great. Yeah.
I remember being a crying mess coming out of that film.
I was waiting to see how you were gonna describe yourself because I knew where we were going.
A wet mess. Nice. Is your film gonna make me cry?
I hope. That's like a hope, right? But here's the thing, right? It's like it's I find, and you can't I try not to even think about that kind of stuff. Like I'm like it could, but like everything happens was funny because it's like that's a movie that some people laugh at, some people don't laugh, some people see it as a comedy or a drama, some people
that last scene with your mother got me.
Some people last scene people will cry or people will not. So it's one of those things where I'm like, all right, it's okay. Again, going back to the thing we talked about earlier, it's like my job is to create something, and then it's your job as an audience member to do what you want with it. So
interpret it,
So this one's a little more, I think, direct in the emotion. We're definitely there's a score. Everything happens to have a score. There's a score in this that'll hopefully help carry it through. But I hope at least it makes you think of something in your life. But I don't know if it'll make you cry. I don't want to say that's my intention, because then it's like once you make that the intention, then nobody's gonna cry. So all I can say is I can do the characters justice, do the film justice, and ship it off. So.
Well, I'm an easy mark, so I'm sure I'll send you a picture of my crying face once I see it. What's your number 2?
Big Fish, Tim Burton.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just another film we talked about at length on our Burton episode.
Yeah.
And then underrated film.
And another one too. I love that there's a theme here, because it's great when you either watch a director's interview on Letterboxd and they say your 4 movies that influenced this, and they just say Lawrence of Arabia because it's awesome, or The Godfather because I love that movie, or whatever. There's a real theme here to what you're talking about, and Big Fish totally matches the magic, the memory, again, kind of that whimsical nature of things. And Big Fish, I mean, is, I think, completely slept on as far as
here.
It is one of the best movies of the 21st century.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah, this list too, it's the last 3, the Miyazaki for sure, that will always appear. If I ever do any movie ever made, but the other 3 are more I would recommend, or I watched to prepare myself, and I was these are really in line. But these next 2, Big Fish and the other one, are the 2 that I'm if you just combine these movies and then throw a little ducky on top, this is what you're gonna get.
What you're going for. So, nice.
Yeah. So, but Big Fish is the way I just rewatched it, and the way that he balances it's 3 levels of meta storytelling at some points, which is just really impressive, and you don't ever get lost, and the casting is so good, and the tone is it's this brilliant Americana, but also strange. And that whole thing I'm going for with you want that reality, you want this feeling that you could be there, that you're telling the story, that this did happen, but there are these very weird idiosyncrasies and moments and things that you're maybe that did happen, maybe that could have happened. And
missing fragments, right?
Yeah. Big Fish is just, I mean, It's so good, man. It's such a good fucking movie. Yeah, yeah. Burton's got a few that are just completely slept on, and that final scene in Big Fish is just massive. It is just such a great scene. Yeah,
that's a great pick.
yeah.
All right, and number 1,
Moonrise Kingdom. Yeah. So I would always say Moonrise Kingdom meets Big Fish. The film is about, these two people in summer that are meeting, getting to know each other, and through voiceover. So there it is, and Moonrise Kingdom is just great. I mean, come on. It's just so perfect. The way
Alex runs the, it's the best Wes Anderson film.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Founding
I think
member.
I'll say Grand Budapest, I think is maybe his like best work, but I think Moonrise is my favorite, if I were to like draw a line.
I mean, I think it's the most emotionally intelligent of his films.
Yeah. It's, dude, I just rewatched it, and like he's such a great, I will say, I always say this, is that it's like Quentin Tarantino is a fairly rated writer, but he's an underrated director, I'll say. And I'll say like Wes Anderson's a fairly rated director. I think he's an underrated writer. Like, I think he is such a good, like, I mean, I know it wasn't just him on that script, but like the way that they are able to deliver like Bill Murray's character in like 4 lines and just like scenes where he's in the background is immaculate. It's so good. It's like the whole,
I always
like,
think about that with
life.
Edward Norton's character as well, too.
Yeah.
Like, anytime that I watch that movie, I'm like, this is one of the funniest movie characters ever. Edward Norton as the scoutmaster.
He's so good. Like what he's going through, and there's just like these little moments, but like when he loses the whole troop, and he's just in that moment, and it's like he's so good at playing it, and he's just, they all understand what they're doing, and the kids are great. And there's a scene in this film that isn't like, it's very similar to like the Moonrise Kingdom, the beach scene. Just there's a lot of like water stuff. This is what we've been doing a lot. It's like trying to find locations to shoot this film at up here in Washington, but a lot of like sunrise lake type stuff or beach type stuff. But there's a scene that's very similar to that scene. It's not too similar. I was worried when I rewatched it. I was like, oh, this isn't a 1-for-1. It's not. It's more of like a 0.3-for-1. But you'll see it. When you see it, you'll be like, oh, I get what he's talking about. But yeah, I love Moonrise Kingdom. Yeah.
So when you talk about all 5 of these influences, you're really leaning on the thematic influences and not so much the composition, perhaps, of these movies and the way they look, but you're more interested in the way they make you feel. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, for sure. The look is one of those things where it's like, it's funny. I feel like the last 5 years I spent a lot of time writing, and I've sort of been like, I know what I want to do with movies. I think at this point, like what I want to say. This film, I challenge myself, how do I want to say that? Because my last film, Everything Happens, is very objective. It's very like, every shot is very static. It's very still. It's 4:3. And I like objective films, but you can't, like, I want to play around, So this film, I'm really challenging myself to like break out of that barrier, the handheld, moving the camera, the dollies, like what can I do with composition and what can I do with that sort of stylistically. But I would say like, for like thematic elements or just like those little affects that come through those movies that I think are really well done, would be on that list for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we got to get you out of here. How much longer does the campaign go on? Can you plug?
It's got about 13 or 12 days. September 6th, it ends at like 8 a.m. So early September 5th, it'll end because everybody will go to bed. We've got Wednesday. We start the matching campaign, the matching fund. So if you're looking to donate, if you're interested, you can head over to Seed&Spark. It's seedandspark.com/fund/callthislandmother is the URL. My Instagram's at Andrew Duckiewiczz, also a long name, but if you can find me. My website's byducky.com, byducky.com. That's the easy way to find me. But you can go through there to donate. If you want to wait till Wednesday, it's always great to do because then, $10 turns to 20, 50 to 100. We got some cool incentives that you can get. We have the original score that Owen Andrew Chow is making. I met him actually through Seattle Film Society after Everything Happened screening. And we've got a screener link for one of those, which I think is probably the most advantageous of the incentives. And we got about 12 days. A little ways to go, but hopefully we can round it out. And then we shoot September 23rd to 26th. and then we'll edit through the fall and get everything together. And hopefully for the next fall film festivals, we can start submitting, and we'll see how it goes. You know,
that's fantastic, man. I really can't wait to see this film, because I love all the work that I've seen from you before. And gosh, thank you so much for coming on the pod and
thanks for having me.
sharing all
I
this.
love it. I love talking movies. So, you know,
Yeah,
nice.
man, we got to find another. If there's any other like big release coming up this year, let us know. We'd love to have you come back.
Yeah, we'll do. I will. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for having me. You guys have a brilliant rest of your day.
Thank you, and congratulations on everything up to this point and for everything that's to come. Yeah.
Thank you. Enjoy the pickleball.
Thank you. We're coming off a groin injury, so I have to be careful. But
I'll be careful. Yeah, and Max, enjoy your rest after getting off set. I know how exhausting
you know what? I am rested up. I'm ready to get back on. So if you know anyone who's doing a project down here, let me know.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah. Enjoy it. Well, you guys have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, listeners. And if you want to follow us between shows, check us out on Instagram, Excuse the Intermission. Obviously, check out Andrew Dutkiewicz's Instagram as well. Go help him raise the money for this awesome movie that he's making. Ducky, you're on Letterboxd too, right?
I am. I think it's. Let me look really quick. I think it's.
You gotta scroll. You can scroll through my followers to find him pretty easily. Yeah, I don't have hundreds like Max does. So.
Yeah, it's hard to like see your. The Duckworth is mine. The Duckworth. Yeah.
So check all three of us and follow all three of us on Letterboxd to see what we're watching in between shows. And until next time, we will talk to you later on Excuse the Intermission, where movies still matter.